Tonight on Y News. The Department of Health sets to conduct an investigation into the allegedly erroneous system of storing and distribution of nearly expired medicines. President Rodrigo Duterte vetoes the security of tenure bill. A lawmaker hopes the proposed proof of parking space will be approved by Congress this year. Despite legal challenges, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority sets to conduct another dry run for the provincial bus ban on EDSA next month. And Sony Music Philippines reveals its roster of new artists. Based on a Commission on Audit report, there is 18 billion pesos worth of medicines in the warehouses of the Department of Health or DOH, undistributed to government health centers and facilities across the country. According to present health department officials, this is clear negligence and an erroneous system in medicine distribution. Here's Aiko Miguel to tell us why.
The Commission on Audit inventory shows that as of this year, there are medicines that remain to be stored with the DOH, but most of the stock medicines were procured between 2016 and 2017. These include metformin for diabetes and vaccines against Japanese encephalitis and human papilloma virus or HPV. Some of these are nearly expired medicines which are worth almost 400 million pesos.
Pinapaimbestigahan na ng Secretary yan kasi bakit nga hindi dapat na-expire. Dapat kung anong unang i-deliver, yun din ang unang ilalabas.
The Health Secretary has already looked into the problem and has taken new measures to focus on the appropriate procurement and distribution of medicines. The Health Department also assures that those who will be proved of negligence will face charges.
Unang-una, para hindi siya maulit at kung may nasayang na pondo ang gobyerno para malaman kung sinong mananagot.
The DOH is also prepared to present the investigation results to Congress should they be summoned over the undistributed medicines. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
President Rodrigo Duterte vetoes Endo or security of tenure bill. This has been confirmed by presidential spokesperson and chief presidential legal counsel Secretary Salvador Panelo. But a labor group is dismayed over the development and believes this will impact the performance rating of the president. Rosalie Cos explains why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has remained firm in his campaign promise to end contractualization in the country. He has also been pushing the Congress to pass a law that will fully protect the rights and welfare of Filipino employees. In fact, a year ago, this is what he said.
I remain firm in my commitment to put an end to Endo and illegal contractualization. However, I believe that in order to implement an effective and lasting solution to the problems brought about by contractualization, Congress needs to enact a law amending the labor code. Alam mo, dugay na it's outdated. I think Congress should come up with a new labor code to keep it attuned to the realities of our time.
However, earlier today, the president vetoed the security of tenure or the Endo or contractualization bill. According to President Duterte's veto message, the bill unduly broadens the scope and definition of prohibited labor-only contracting, effectively prescribing forms of contractualization that are not particularly unfavorable to the employees involved. He also mentioned that while labor-only contracting must be prohibited, legitimate job contracting should be allowed, provided that a contractor is well capitalized, has sufficient investments, and affords its employees all the benefits provided for under the labor laws. Businesses should also be allowed to determine whether they should outsource certain activities or not, especially when job contracting will result in economy and efficiency in their operations, with no detriment to the workers, regardless of whether this is directly related to their business. Ruled that while the Philippine Constitution provides that the state shall protect the rights of workers and promote their welfare, such constitutional policy is not intended to oppress or destroy capital and management. A healthy balance between the conflicting interests of labor and management must also be observed, he said. President Duterte believes the sweeping expansion of the definition of labor-only contracting destroys the delicate balance and will place capital and management at an impossibly difficult predicament with adverse consequences to the Filipino workers in the long term. Meanwhile, Senate President Tito Soto said he is crestfallen, but that is how democracy works, and Congress, being dynamic, can refile and repass the bill. But according to Senator Joel Villanueva, the principal author and sponsor of the Endo bill, this shows that sometimes the powerful prevail. However, he will still push sought bill in the Senate until Endo ends in the country. Opposition Senator Franklin Brilon also regrets the bill, which was certified urgent by the President, saying Senate work hard for it to be passed. The senator also said the executive must first get its act together because the Department of Labor and Employment and the National Economic Development Authority or NEDA have opposing views on the bill. Other lawmakers say they are ready to refile another bill to iron out problematic provisions rejected by President Duterte.
We will refile. We will refile the Endo bill.
House Committee on Ways and Means Chairman Joey Salceda believes the security of tenure bill will still be passed into law since it is a campaign promise of the chief executive. The Associated Labor Unions Trade Union Congress of the Philippines is saddened by the President's rejection of the Endo or Security of Tenure bill. Alan Tanhusay, spokesperson of the labor group, said it is the President himself who broke his promise. He also blamed economic managers as well as various business groups for allegedly misinforming the President. This will have an impact to the President's performance rating, he said.
Sana tingnan ito ng Pangulong Duterte, tingnan niya ng maigi yung kanyang ginawa at baka magkaroon ito ng epekto dito sa kanyang popularity at performance rating. Kung kaya't we request the President to take a second and third look of the security of tenure bill, and we hope he would be able to realize yung impact ng kanyang ginawang veto.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian will ask President Rodrigo Duterte to certify as urgent the proof of parking space bill. He also seized the approval of the bill this year. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Under Senate Bill 368, or the proof of parking space, individuals or businesses based in Metro Manila would only be allowed to buy vehicles if they have an affidavit that confirms they have purchased or leased a parking space for their new vehicle. It means that parking vehicles on any public road is prohibited.
Ang importante dito, meron kang parking para dun sa mga sasakyan na bibilin mo. So for example, bibili kang 10 sasakyan, siguraduhin mo lang na meron kang 10 paradahan na pwedeng gamitin ng mga sasakyan mo.
According to the proposal, the said affidavit of proof of parking is one of the requirements in the renewal of vehicle registration. Because of the proposal, high-rise and condominium buildings will be investigated if they comply with the National Building Code.
One unit, one parking. So bakit sila nagtatayo ng condominium na walang parking lot? Nasa building code yan eh.
According to Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, the author of the proof of parking bill, this is a big help to the mayors of Metro Manila in their efforts to clear the roads in their localities. Although the public have varying opinions in the new proposal, some say they are inclined to follow the law for the improvement of the traffic situation in the metropolis.
May batas na po tayo, sir, na bawal na po sa kalsada magparada po.
Pabor sa amin, kaso maliit lang yung space namin.
Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA will proceed with the implementation of the provincial bus ban on EDSA next month pending the decision of the Supreme Court on a number of petitions urging the suspension of the policy. Joe Anano tells us why.
The MMDA will send a letter to local government officials in Metro Manila next week on the closure of provincial bus terminals located in EDSA. The letter will also contain details about the suspension of the provincial bus terminals' business permits.
As long as the court hindi sinasabi sa amin itigil yan, tuloy-tuloy lang yung plano namin. Wala namang pumipigil eh.
The MMDA is also planning to resume the dry run of the policy next week to familiarize provincial bus drivers and passengers with the transfer of the bus terminals. Although this is just a dry run, the MMDA say that they will penalize those who will not comply with the regulation.
May dry run kami pero may huli.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB has earlier released a memorandum circular amending the routes of provincial bus traversing along EDSA. According to the memorandum order, provincial buses with terminals along EDSA will be obliged to load and unload their passengers at the interim terminals in Valenzuela City or Santa Rosa, Laguna, or at the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange or PITX. The new routes will become effective once the local government offices implement the closure of bus terminals located in EDSA. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Sony Music Philippines officially welcomes its newest batch of established and upcoming homegrown music acts as part of the growing family. Monokson will tell us why.
Sony Music Philippines reveals its roster of new Filipino music artists. The international record label's new artists include indie pop rock band The Vowels They Orbit, young hip-hop prodigy Alex Bruce, folk pop sensation Siddhartha, and wonder band runner-up Nathan and Mercury. As a collective, the latest lineup offers a refreshing spin of genre that the new generation will surely enjoy.
Kahit, let's say, sad yung meaning ng song, we find a way to make it sound happy. Something like that, na parang we like to experiment with the way we arrange our songs.
The new song I'm writing is my new favorite. It's character, being character, always being character, have attitude, and be maangas. I have songs that talk about sexual harassment and yun nga, freedom of speech.
We're in platform to share our music itself. Parang there's a bigger avenue for us now.
Meanwhile, Ben and Ben are promoting their first full-length album under Sony Music Philippines, Limasawa Street. The award-winning folk pop act sang their hit song Pagtingin and Araw-Araw, which are included in their debut album. The group shared how they came up with such good lyrics.
Yung Pagtingin, yung latest single namin, nanggaling siya sa isang overheard conversation. Yung isang song naman Araw-Araw. It's a very, very, very personal song.
Watch out for the live performances of this rising Filipino music artist on the iconic Wish Bus as Sony Music partners with Wish 1075. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno today led the random liquor ban inspection in Menjola, Manila. The management of a convenience store assures they are ready to follow the mayor's order after they were ordered to remove all the alcoholic beverages from their shelves. April Sinadoza explains why.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno has signed Executive Order Number 17, which cancels the liquor license of establishments within a 200-meter radius from schools in the city. The order has an impact on this convenience store near a university. According to Juanito Casiban, the supervisor of convenience store, the store earns at least 10,000 a month for selling alcoholic drinks.
Wala po kami magagawa, decision po ni Mayor.
The establishment may face closure if the government finds they violated the ordinance.
So tuloy pa rin yung negosyo nila, wala namang masama, kaya lang hindi na sila inaalaw. Katulad ng binigay namin pribileyo na dati-rati noong mga nagdaang panahon namin nagtitinda ng alak malapit sa mga paaralan.
Some students say they are in favor of this local ordinance.
Okay lang naman po natanggalin na yung may mga alcohol kasi minsan isa rin yun sa resulta kung bakit hindi pumapasok yung ibang estudyante. Tama po yun kasi po, yun nga po, 18 and above, mostly isang college student. Okay po yun para malayo po sa tukso kasi po pag alak, marami pong pwedeng gawin po yan eh.
Mas okay din po pinagbawal na malapit sa school kasi po parang nahihikayat po yung mga estudyante na parang minom na lang ng uminom.
The local chief executive has also issued a memorandum order to Manila Traffic and Parking Bureau Chief Dennis Viaje to temporarily stop all e-trike operations in Manila to ensure the safety of the riding public. However, some e-tricycle drivers were dismayed over the news.
Mayor, sana maawa ka naman sa amin. Maawa ka sa mga driver.
Bigyan niya po kami ng pagkakataon para makapaghanap po dito sa Manila. Kasi po kawawa po yung pamilya namin.
But the city mayor remains firm on his order.
I think it's unfair sa mga jeepney driver na legal, na may prangkisa, na sumusunod, naghahanap buhay din sila. Inaagawan na sila ng pasahero eh. Kasi kaya nga may tinatawag na ruta, linya. Dapat yun nasusundin. Hindi naman lang sinusunod yun eh.
April Senedoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Another congressman is now involved in a commotion due to a bomb joke he cracked at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Some lawmakers want to investigate the incident and even call on the congressman involved to resign. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Aviation Police briefly held Association of Philippine Electric Cooperatives or APEC Party List Representative Sergio Dagook in Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 2 last night after telling authorities that his bag contains a bomb. This when he was asked about the contents of his carry-on baggage, which exceeded to the allowed 11 kilos. A bomb joke is punishable by law. But after lawyer of Congressman Dagook talked to the authorities, he was then allowed to proceed with his flight. But according to Minority Leader Benny Abante Jr., the House Committee on Ethics should investigate the incident, since this is the second time that a member of the 18th Congress is involved in a commotion.
Sana wala tayong congressman that will pull down the House of Congress into the level of gangsterism. No?
Congressman Dagook refuses to give any comment, saying he will issue an official statement soon. But according to Congressman Abante, this incident has a negative impact on the image of the lower chamber.
If you do not know how to conduct yourself with decorum and proper, it's good for you to resign as a congressman.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Justice has summoned Vice President Leni Robredo and 35 others over the sedition raps filed by the Philippine National Police in relation to the so-called Bicoy videos. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara confirmed subpoenas were sent to Robredo and other respondents, requesting them to appear at the preliminary investigation on August 9 at 10 a.m. in the morning. Secretary Guevara assures utmost fairness to everyone, saying the charges will be resolved based solely on evidence presented before the special panel of prosecutors. Robredo and other opposition figures were accused of attempting to undermine the Duterte administration by linking the president's family members and friends to the illegal drug trade using the Bicoy videos. They are also facing charges for inciting to sedition, cyber libel, estafa, harboring a criminal, and obstruction of justice. President Rodrigo Duterte has raised the bounty for the killers of 4 policemen in Negros Oriental to 3 million pesos. The chief executive made the announcement during the launching of the bypass road in Ilocos Sur on Thursday. Authorities are speculating that communist rebels were behind the ambush where the said policemen were tortured and killed. Scientists have used machine learning to analyze millions of cells from breast cancer tissue of 140 tumors, creating what they describe as an atlas of these tumors. Nina Armilio explains why.
According to a 2018 World Health Organization report, breast cancer is the most common cancer among women, with approximately 2.1 million new cases each year. Johanna Wagner of the University of Zurich says it's a difficult disease to treat.
Cancer is composed of different components, and our motivation, our aim was to characterize these components in detail because we know that if we know exactly how tumors are built, we might be able to better tailor therapies in a tumor-specific way.
The Swiss-based scientist used a process called single-cell mass cytometry to examine 26 million cancer cells from 140 patients.
So what we get in the end is for each cell a spectrum of which proteins are present on this cell and how much. And we can compare this across these 26 million cells that we measured. And this enables us to really get a very detailed idea of how cancer cells look, how they differ between patients, what's the difference between cancer tissue and non-cancer tissue.
To make sense of all the data generated by these 26 million cells, Wagner teamed up with computer scientists who used machine learning to decode what they describe as a breast cancer ecosystem. In a research published recently in the journal Cell, they found that aggressive tumors are often dominated by a single type of tumor cell, which often displays high levels of abnormality. Previously, more aggressive tumor cells were thought to be more diverse. This abnormality could be one reason why women respond differently to therapy and why some medications don't work.
So these cells that are characterized by high abnormality are also characterized by high plasticity, and this is a characteristic that allows cells to better adapt to their environment and evade treatment.
The researchers hope subsequent studies will lead to new proposed immunotherapy treatments and may lead to precision medicine approaches that target both the tumor and its immune environment. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
Welcome back to Y News. President Rodrigo Duterte signs Republic Act No. 11350, or an act creating the National Commission of Senior Citizens. This commission will be under the Office of the President. The commission aims to ensure the full implementation of laws, policies, and programs of the government pertaining to senior citizens. The commission will be composed of a chairperson and 6 commissioners to be appointed by the President. The new law also abolishes the National Coordinating Council and Monitoring Board. All the functions, programs, and activities of the Department of Social Welfare and Development for the implementation and coordination of social welfare and development policies for the poor, disadvantaged, and vulnerable senior citizens shall be transferred to the newly created commission. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, will lead tomorrow the conduct of the 5th Metro Manila Shake Drill. Unlike the previous shake drill was done at daytime, the MMDA will hold it tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the morning. The MMDA will be working in coordination with the Department of the Information and Communication, the National Telecommunication Commission, and other government offices. The result of the shake drill will determine the preparedness and capability of the government agencies, private offices, and non-government organizations to respond in case of a strong earthquake. The MMDA is confident that many people will participate in the shake drill, although the activity will be held at a very early time on a Saturday. The number of Filipinos who believe their quality of life improved in the past 12 months went down from March to June 2019 but remains to be very high. The survey, which was conducted from June 22 to 26, also included questions on optimism and pessimism on the Philippine economy. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
Comparing your quality of life these days to how it was 12 months ago, would you say that your quality of life is better now than before, same as before, or worse now than before? These are some of the questions 1,200 adult Filipinos from across the country were asked for the second quarter 2019 Social Weather Survey. And based on the results of the latest Social Weather Station survey, 36% of adult Filipinos say their life now is better than before, or the so-called gainers, while 22%, the so-called losers, say their quality of life worsened in the last 12 months. The outcome is a positive 13 net gainer score in June 2019, which is classified by the Social Weather Stations, or SWS, as very high. But this score is 4 points lower than the positive 17 net gainer score recorded in March this year. This decrease comes after a 19-point increase over the previous 2 quarters. After dropping to -2 or fair in September 2018, it went up to +12 or very high in December, and up again to +17 or very high in March 2019, before falling to +13 in June. The survey results also say that 46% Filipinos are optimistic their quality of life will improve in the next 12 months. On the other hand, 4% say they don't think their life will improve in the next 4 quarters. Only Metro Manila has recorded an increase in the net personal optimists. Despite a 5-point drop in the net personal optimist score from March to June, more Metro Manila residents say they are positive their lives will improve, from +42 in March to +44 after 3 months. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
The Philippine government has assured to extend free legal assistance to a Filipino who was arrested in Malaysia over drug trafficking allegations. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo made the statement following reports that a 32-year-old Filipino was nabbed in an anti-drug operation in Kota Kinabalu on Tuesday. Local media reported that police arrested the Filipina after she was found with several bags and packets allegedly containing shabu during the raid. Police recovered in the operation a total of 5.9 kilograms of shabu worth 275,000 Indonesian rupiah, which allegedly belongs to a man who has yet to be arrested. The Filipina could face a possible death sentence for drug trafficking under existing Malaysian laws. As the U.S. Justice Department reinstated a 2-decade-long dormant policy allowing the federal government's use of capital punishment, questions have arisen about how the government plans of implementing capital punishment amid concern over long-standing questions of whether it can be applied in a fair manner. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
The U.S. Justice Department has scheduled executions for 5 federal inmates who have been convicted of horrific murders and sex crimes, with more planned in the future. Those inmates include Daniel Lewis Lee, Lesmond Mitchell, Wesley Ira Perkey, Alfred Burgess, and Dustin Lee Hunkin. U.S. President Donald Trump has called for increasing the use of the death penalty for drug traffickers and mass shooters, a request the department has since laid the groundwork to carry out. This despite the fact that U.S. public support for the death penalty has declined since the 1990s, according to opinion polls. Robert Brett Dunham, the executive director of the nonprofit Death Penalty Information Center, said the inmates who will be executed first were chosen because their crimes targeted children and the elderly, a clear attempt to stir emotion and infuse politics into the situation.
And I think the fact that the 5 cases were selected because of factors that are irrelevant to federal jurisdiction underscores that these cases were not chosen because they justify the federal death penalty. They were chosen because they were designed to inflame the public. It has emphasized the very rare examples of murders committed by immigrants as a way to suggest to the American public and to the world at large that immigrants pose a disproportionate danger to the American public.
There are currently 62 federal inmates on death row and 2,600 on state death rows. The ruling only affects federal inmates. Dunham also highlighted that the death penalty has been unequally applied in the United States, with the poor and minorities more likely to be executed. He said people who are convicted of killing white victims are also more likely to be put on death row. 21 states and the District of Columbia have abolished the death penalty, and only 25 inmates were executed in 2018, compared to almost 100 in the late 1990s. Lee will be the first one to be executed, with a date set for December 9, 2019.
There's a saying that the death penalty is called capital punishment because if you don't have the capital, you get the punishment. And that's borne out by who's on death row. Almost everybody who's on death row is poor.
Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Indonesia's parliament approved on Thursday an amnesty for a woman who was jailed after recording lewd phone calls from her boss in a case that has caused outrage and warnings that it could discourage victims of sexual abuse from speaking out. Kat Dumaraos will tell us why.
Baik Nuril Maknoon cannot hold back her tears after Indonesian President Joko Widodo granted her amnesty after she was jailed for documenting sexual harassment by her employer. Baik Nuril Maknoon, 37, who worked at a school on the island of Lombok, recorded a telephone conversation with a head teacher whom she accused of making repeated unwanted sexual advances. A colleague used the audio to lodge an official complaint against the man. The Supreme Court in Jakarta convicted Maknoon of recording and spreading indecent material under the country's Electronic Information and Transactions Law. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison and fined 500 million rupiah after overturning a 2017 acquittal from a lower court. After the announcement, Maknoon called for other women to defend their rights and speak out against sexual harassment.
The women need to be brave. Don't give the perpetrators any opportunities if the same thing ever happened to you. Don't give them any chance. Be brave and speak out.
Indonesia is the world's most populous Muslim majority country and is predominantly conservative. While some women have recounted experiences of sexual harassment as part of a #MeToo movement, in general, women are less likely to speak about abuse compared with women in some other countries, activists say. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
In Alaska, the acres burned by wildfires in Alaska has now exceeded 2 million after dry weather in the past 48 hours caused many southwest fires to expand. Among the biggest jumps was the Smith Creek fire, which grew from about 12,000 acres to 53,108 acres, causing the evacuation of Donlid Gold Mine on Tuesday. The Lost Jack fire, one of the top priorities in Southwest. 18 smoke jumpers and 6 helitack personnel are at work fighting the fire, which is only about 100 acres but which is only 3 miles north of Nikolai, a village of about 90 people. And in Switzerland, a deluge of water swept through the Swiss resort town Zermatt on one of the hottest days of the year, with a melting glacier being blamed for the flood. Videos posted showed a torrent of grey water racing through a stream in the town, while locals and tourists watched from behind police tape. The stream reportedly burst its banks in some spots when the incident occurred earlier in July. The town mayor said the origin of the flood is most likely a melting glacier above it. Nobody was injured in the flooding, according to local authorities. Jovic Burmas, UNTV News and Rescue.
Evan Holyfield, the son of former boxing champion Evander Holyfield, announced he was turning professional as a junior middleweight. Ferdy Petalio will tell us why.
Following in his father's footsteps, Evan Holyfield, 21-year-old, confirmed he had signed a deal with Main Events, the same promoter that launched Evander Holyfield's stellar career after the 1984 Olympics. The middle child of the Holyfield children, Evan amassed over 80 amateur fights, including the semifinals for the US team. Evan, who has over 80 amateur fights to his name, will be trained by ex-boxer Maurice Termite Watkins and will have strength and conditioning coach Tim Hallmark in his corner.
My whole mission with the whole pro career, I know I'm just starting out something and I'm just leaving something behind. I'm leaving behind my amateur career and I enjoyed that, and quite frankly I did that for free, and it makes a difference when you're getting paid.
Evander Holyfield was not able to make it to the news conference, but he arranged to have his son work with Watkins and Hallmark. Evander Holyfield reigned as the undisputed champion at the cruiserweight in the late 1980s before earning the same status at heavyweight in the early 1990s. He remains the only boxer in history to win the undisputed championship in two weight classes. Hallmark has already been working with Holyfield for 14 months in preparation for his eventual professional debut.
I'm really just take my first steps and just put a date in front of me, and that's a mission. We're going to take this one day at a time, one night at a time, and we want to reach our goal to become a champion, collect all these belts.
Ferdy Batalio, UNTV News and Rescue.
In today's digital age where everything is almost just a click or even a slide of a finger away, all issues are available right on the screen of an electronic gadget. And the millennials, the youth of today, have varying opinions as to what issues interest them. Find out what the millennials want to talk about as Harleen Delgado reports.
Everyone has the right to speak. And with the advent of technology, the internet has given endless opportunities to people. What do millennials want to talk about these days? Trending among the millennials are entertainment artists, new movies, memes, and cute animals. But on this freedom wall in a university in Manila, calls for social change dominate, though some are simply looking for a friend. For these students, what interests them in a discussion are the latest issues in the country.
Ako po yung kay Isko Moreno, parang bilang estudyante po natutuwa po ako na parang napapaano niya. Yung sa Manila, parang napapanatili niyang malinis.
Usually kasi kaming mga millennials, ang gusto namin, ang pinag-uusapan namin is yung mga timely na nasa paligid namin. Katulad nung nakaraan, yung SONA. Gusto namin pag-usapan kung ano yung mga sinabi ni Duterte dun sa SONA, kung ano yung mga sinabi niya na tama para sa mga Pilipino.
Mas interested po kami sa mga topics, especially about politics po. Tapos syempre ngayon, kakatapos lang ng SONA ng presidente natin. So parang kami, yun din yung napag-uusapan din namin.
According to a Filipino sociologist, it is a good sign that the youth are getting interested in the pressing issues in the society.
I would say it's a very positive trend because right now, the millennials would like to look at a different way of life and a different outlook. At this time, they would not be thinking about depression, drugs, relationships. Hindi na yung ganon. So they become more optimistic and forward-looking when it comes to this phenomenon.
And even though they know they have the freedom to express themselves, for the youth of today, they still make sure to be responsible for what they say.
O syempre naman po, kailangan po responsible pa rin po tayo sa mga sinusulat natin dahil hindi po natin alam kung ano po magiging epekto nito sa lipunan.
Iniisip ko muna yung kung ano yung post ko online. Po, dapat po pinag-iisipan po natin kung bago po tayo mag-post na kung ano-anong bagay kasi po malaki po yung epekto nun.
We may have all the right to free speech, but we should always bear in mind that freedom comes with responsibility. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
And those are the reasons behind the news this July 26, 2019. On behalf of Angelo Castro III, I am Alex Baltazar. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Well, pinapaimbestigahan na ng sekretary yan kasi bakit nga hindi dapat na i-expire. Hindi natin alam kung ang mali ay yung pagbili o yung pagbubodega ba na bakit ang dapat kung anong unang i-deliver, yun din ang unang ilalabas.
Sana tingnan ito ng Pangulong Duterte, tingnan niya ng maigi yung kanyang ginawa at baka magkaroon ito ng epekto dito sa kanyang popularity at performance rating. Kung kaya we request the President to take a second and third look of the security of tenure bill.
So as long as the court hindi sinasabi sa amin itigil yan, tuloy-tuloy lang yung plano namin. Wala namang pumipigil eh.
I think it's unfair sa mga jeepney driver na legal, na may prangkisa, na sumusunod, naghahanap buhay din sila.
If you do not know how to conduct yourself with decorum and proper, it's good for you to resign as a congressman.